At 58 years old, Mike Tyson stood at the crossroads of his legendary past and a tumultuous future, driven by a bold challenge from a rising star in the boxing world. As whispers of his impending showdown with Jake Paul ignited a media frenzy, Tyson knew this would be no ordinary comeback. It would be a battle for redemption, self-discovery, and the chance to silence doubts that lingered in the shadows of his storied career. With every punch thrown and every weight lifted, he embarked on a transformative journey that would test the limits of age and endurance, proving that the heart of a champion beats strongest in the face of adversity. At 58, Mike Tyson had settled into a quieter rhythm. Years had passed since his last fight, and although he still exercised, he traded the brutal regimen of his prime for a more balanced lifestyle. He was finding peace with his past, focusing on his podcast, family, and personal projects. Life was finally calm, and Tyson seemed content. But in the world of boxing, calm doesn't last long. Then, Jake Paul made his challenge. Paul, a YouTuber-turned-boxer with a knack for stirring controversy, had risen as a polarizing figure in the fight scene. His followers admired his audacity, while his critics dismissed his talent. But with every match he won, Jake built his reputation, claiming he could hold his own in the ring. One day, he publicly called out Tyson, challenging the former heavyweight champion to step back into the ring for what he promised would be a historic battle. To add fuel to the fire, Jake didn't stop at a simple challenge. In interviews and social media posts, he dismissed Tyson as past his prime, saying that the champion was no longer a real threat. He argued that this would be a fair fight, even hinting that he'd be the favorite. The media frenzy that followed was explosive. Could Tyson still go head-to-head with a younger fighter? Headlines read, feeding the hype. In private, Tyson wrestled with the decision. He didn't need the money or fame. He was already a legend. But something about Jake's taunt struck a nerve. They stirred memories of his younger self, of a fighter who would have jumped at the chance to silence a loudmouth. That fighter was still there, buried but alive. For days, he considered his options, listening to the voices in his mind and the comments on the news. Finally, he called a few old friends, former trainers, and trusted voices. They all told him the same thing. "You've got one last fight in you, Mike." Determined to make a final stand, Tyson made his decision. He would train, transform, and show the world, and himself, that he still had what it took. This fight would be more than just a spectacle. It would be a personal journey to test his will and resilience. When he made his official announcement, the response was electric. Friends, fans, and fighters from all walks of life reached out, offering their support and respect. Media outlets ran stories speculating on the outcome, examining Tyson's old footage, and comparing it with Jake's style. Tyson had 1 year to prepare, and every eye was now on him. But for Tyson, this was about more than victory. This was about reclaiming something lost, about proving to himself and the world that age was just a number. He was going to transform his body and mind, facing every grueling day of training with the spirit of a young fighter. The year ahead would be the most demanding test of his life. Tyson was ready to give everything he had, determined to make this final fight a testament to the strength that endures, even after decades. The first day of training felt like a shock to Mike Tyson's system. The gym lights glared down on him as he faced the familiar, daunting setup of bags, weights, and rings. It was as if he were staring back in time, but this time, he was nearly 6 decades into life, and his body bore the evidence. His muscles, once steel under his skin, had softened. His reflexes, sharp as a blade in his prime, felt slower. But the fight inside him hadn't faded. It just needed a push to ignite. Tyson's training team had come together like a small army, each member an expert chosen to bring him back to fighting form. His trainers crafted a brutal regimen designed to rebuild his strength, speed, and endurance. Nutritionists fine-tuned every meal, calculating calories, carbs, and proteins with surgical precision. Physiotherapists attended to every aching joint and muscle. This wasn't just a training routine. It was a full-scale transformation. Tyson's mission wasn't just to survive in the ring with Jake Paul. It was to face down the passage of time itself. The physical toll was severe. There were days when his body screamed in protest. Some mornings, Tyson would wake up feeling the weight of every punch he'd ever thrown, every hit he'd ever taken. Pain radiated from old injuries, and the intense workout seemed relentless. A simple jab would leave his shoulder sore for hours. When his coaches urged him on, he could feel the strain with every step, every movement. There were moments he wanted to throw in the towel and call it off. After all, what did he really have left to prove? But then, his mind took over. Tyson wasn't just retraining his body. He was fortifying his will. Through meditation and quiet reflection, he went inward, facing the years of anger, fame, triumph, and pain. He'd left pieces of himself scattered across every fight he'd ever fought, and now he was gathering them back. In the stillness, he found the drive that had once propelled him to be a champion. He remembered the hungry kid who had fought his way up from nothing, the warrior who had once held the world in his fists. That kid, that fighter, still lived inside him. The mental journey became as intense as any physical transformation. As the months passed, a remarkable change unfolded. Tyson's punches regained their force. His footwork grew lighter, sharper. His stamina increased, and he pushed through training sessions that would have defeated him months earlier. The hours of grueling work started to show. His shoulders, arms, and chest began to regain their form. The lean muscle that had once defined him reemerged, sculpted by sweat, grit, and determination. His transformation did not go unnoticed. Clips of his workouts surfaced on social media, sparking waves of admiration and disbelief. Commentators, fans, and fighters watched in awe as Tyson, nearly 60 years old, appeared to be clawing his way back to his prime. He had the world's attention, and the support from fans new and old drove him harder. Yet, Tyson was not only training for a fight, he was building a new relationship with himself. For the first time, he felt in control of his life in a way he hadn't before. This journey wasn't about titles or records. It was a rediscovery, a chance to rebuild his legacy with grace and strength. Each morning that he showed up to train, he was honoring the battles he had fought and the man he had become. And as the year of preparation came to a close, Tyson was ready. The physical transformation was undeniable, but the real change was within. He had forged himself anew, body and mind in sync, ready to take on one final battle, not just against Jake Paul, but against the limits that life had tried to impose on him. The day of the fight arrived, and the energy in the arena was electric. Thousands of fans filled the seats, buzzing with excitement and anticipation. The atmosphere crackled with tension as cameras flashed and commentators speculated on what was to come. Mike Tyson stood backstage, his heart racing in rhythm with the crowd's roar. It had been a year of hard work, dedication, and transformation, and now it was time to step back into the ring. Dressed in his signature black trunks, Tyson felt the familiar weight of expectation on his shoulders. The memories of his past flooded back, moments of glory, pain, and redemption. This wasn't just another fight. It was a culmination of all he had fought for, both inside and outside the ring. He was no longer the broken man of the past. He had risen from the ashes, and he was ready to prove that he still had the heart of a champion. As the announcer's voice boomed through the speakers, Tyson's entrance began. The lights dimmed, and a spotlight focused on him as he walked to the ring. The crowd erupted in cheers, a cacophony of support and admiration echoing off the walls. Tyson raised his fists, soaking in the moment, reminding himself of the journey that had led him here. Each step felt heavier yet lighter all at once. the weight of history blending with the exhilaration of the present. Across the ring stood Jake Paul, brimming with confidence and arrogance. He smirked, flashing a thumbs up to his supporters as if to say, "I've got this." But Tyson saw through the bravado. He recognized the nerves that lingered behind the younger man's eyes. Jake was skilled and unorthodox, but he was still an opponent, one who had underestimated the ferocity of a true champion. As the bell rang, the crowd held its breath. The first few rounds were a dance of strategy and technique. Jake darted around the ring, utilizing his youth and agility to throw quick jabs and combos. Tyson absorbed the blows, returning them with calculated precision. He had honed his instincts over the months, and every punch felt like a testament to his relentless preparation. With every jab he threw, Tyson reminded himself of the grit that had shaped him. This was not just a fight for glory, it was a fight for respect. The rounds progressed, and the intensity grew. Tyson's experience began to shine through. He started to read Jake's movements, predicting his next strike and countering with an elegance that surprised everyone, including himself. In the fourth round, Tyson landed a powerful uppercut that sent Jake stumbling back. The arena erupted, a wave of cheers crashing over them like a tidal wave. It was a moment of triumph, a testament to the hard work that had transformed Tyson from an aging warrior into a formidable opponent once again. But Jake was not ready to back down. He recovered quickly, and as the fight continued, Tyson found himself in a grueling exchange of power and will. Each punch carried the weight of their journeys, the cocky influencer versus the seasoned champion. Tyson pushed through the fatigue, drawing on the inner strength he had cultivated throughout the past year. With each round, the echoes of past defeats faded, replaced by the fervor of determination. As the final round approached, Tyson felt the familiar fire ignite within him. He was no longer merely fighting against Jake. He was fighting for every underdog who believed in redemption, for every person who had ever been knocked down and needed to rise again. He could hear the crowd's roar swelling, urging him forward. With renewed energy, he found his rhythm, dancing on the edge of time and experience, feeling as alive as he had ever been in the ring. In a climactic moment, Tyson unleashed a flurry of punches, each one landing with precision and power. The crowd erupted as he cornered Jake, who struggled to evade the storm. Then, with a final, resounding blow, Tyson delivered a knockout punch that sent Jake crashing to the canvas. The arena fell silent for a heartbeat before erupting into chaos. Tyson stood over his fallen opponent, breathing heavily, chest heaving with exhaustion and triumph. He raised his arms in victory, tears brimming in his eyes. This was not just a win, it was a resurrection. It was a moment that transcended age, proving that the spirit of a fighter never truly fades. He had faced his demons, conquered his doubts, and reclaimed his legacy. As the referee raised his hand in victory, Tyson soaked in the adulation of the crowd, the cheers echoing in his ears. He had done it. He had fought back from the brink and shown the world that he was still Mike Tyson, the indomitable force of boxing history. The fight was not just for him. It was for everyone who dared to believe in the power of transformation, resilience, and the strength of the human spirit. In that moment, Mike Tyson knew he had left an indelible mark on the world, not just as a champion, but as a symbol of hope and redemption.